Okay, welcome back to another episode of Fitness Thoughts, a Christmas edition episode of Fitness Thoughts, actually. So really, really excited to this. And we are joined today by Curt Taylor. So big thanks to Curt, first of all, mate, for coming on and giving us some of your time. You doing okay?
No problem. Yeah, I'm good.
Good man, good man. So we'll just jump straight in. For those who haven't come across you before, do you want to give a little bit of a background into yourself, into who you are, where you're currently at?
Yeah, so my name's Curt. I work currently as a physio for Regen Physio, and then got into physio essentially through training. So done a bit of everything with training, been training for a fair while, mainly sort of dipped my toe into a bit of bodybuilding and more recently some powerlifting. And yeah, that's kind of like the area that I am a bit more specialising in with the physio at the minute. So yeah.
I love how you say dip your toe in, but you literally competed, took second at bodybuilding, and then powerlifting took third at the British.
Yeah, did a little bit.
done all right, really, done all right. Because we first met at uni, didn't we? We met either at rugby, through rugby league or through Emperors or something like that. Because I know we both trained at Emperors during that time.
Yeah.
Were you like we'll go back because we're going to talk about your bodybuilding and your powerlifting and everything, but where did all that start for you? What was your sort of introduction to fitness as a kid? Were you a sporty kid or?
Yeah, so somewhat. I was played football basically. Played football mostly. Never really in that good shape. Just like typical skinny fat little kid. Little pot belly, skinny arms. And when I finished football, probably like 15, 16, I just needed sort of something else to do. So I what was I, year 11? So 15 January 2012. Just joined the gym. Had to lie and say I was 16 at the time when I was 15 to go in the gym. And I just, out of pure boredom, that was really, it was just nothing else to do. I wasn't doing any other sports. I'd stopped playing football because I just sort of lost interest in playing it, and started going to the gym after school.
What sparked you to start rugby as well at uni?
Oh, I don't. It was just an off the whim thing, really. It was. I thought
because I played, it's what you
do. because I played football, I didn't want to go and play football again. I'd sort of done that. And then before I came to uni, I actually I went to go and start playing some rugby, and I didn't even know when the season started. So this essentially, I went to the rugby club at the wrong time. They were like, "Oh, rugby's not even in season yet, but Australian football is in, and we've got a team. Like, do you fancy giving it a go?" I started playing Aussie rules. I was about 15. Well, no, was I mean? Yeah, I think I was about 16, and I was playing with like in the men's team, getting absolutely.
I bet that were a good laugh though.
It was good fun. It was, to be fair. So that was a good feeder into like the rugby. I played Aussie rules for maybe year or two, and then I can't remember. I think that just sort of like faded off a little bit, and then when I went to uni, I fancied just picking something else back up again. So that's it. Just went for rugby league. It was 50-50 whether I went and did league or union, and I just thought, pick league. Everyone looks a little bit smaller in league, so I'll go with that. I might fit in there.
It's more brutal is league than union by a mile. It's more brutal. So obviously, because at that time you were studying physio, and you were at that point when I met you already very much into your gym-based training. So sort of what was the decision process behind wanting to go down the physio route?
So what would I have been? Started at 15, started training at like 15. This is when I was already at school. Didn't have a clue really what I wanted to do at all. And yeah, I was just training. I doing like your typical 15 starting out training. I'd literally just train chest and arms because that's all I could see. Would never didn't even think leg training was a thing, to be honest. I just thought chest and arms every day. I think I used to go like 4 days a week or 3 days a week and just train chest and arms. That's it. I literally, my chest session just used to be incline bench, flat bench, decline bench, and that was it. I thought, well, I've done all three, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
What more could you want?
Exactly. And then sort of going into college, I picked just like some pretty diverse A levels, making sure a bit of science and like sport was in there. Yeah, at this point, I was really getting into my training. I'd started training with people that actually showed me how to train and then made me train legs. It was like some old, I trained with a couple like older lads at the time. They were like training legs quite hard. And then I just really got into training legs. And then they showed me that actually training back is a thing as well. So I started doing that. And I
Not just the bits you can see.
exactly. And then I got into like a proper program, like 5-6 days, and I was just hammering it. And then when it came to the decision, it was kind of like after first year of A levels, thinking like, right, actually, I need to pick something to do because I can't just train and that's it. So it's either essentially pick PT, be a PT, or do something that I could go to uni with. And I always wanted to go to uni. Physio just sort of like ticked that box. To be honest, it was kind of a hybrid between the two. Managed to get in.
When with Physio, Physio was going to be my first choice for uni as well, and I went to a few open days for it, and I spoke to one of, I don't know who they were, it was at Leeds Beckett, and who was doing the open day, and this was like a week before deadline submission, so it was pretty close to the wire because I wasn't going to go for a long time. And I remember the woman saying to me, she was like, unless you've already done like, I can't remember how many hours of placement in a physio practice, she was like, you won't even get onto the course. So at that point, I was like, well, there's a week to go. That's not going to happen. So I just never bothered applying for it. But was that the case for yourself as well?
Yeah, well, it's because it was NHS funded at the time. It was so competitive, like really, really competitive. I applied for 5 unis. I didn't do any of that. I went and spoke to a few physios privately, just like what we're doing now. Spoke to them, got a bit of advice, but it's difficult to get any sort of like placement, privately. No one wants like a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid watching in on the session. So I applied for 5, didn't get any back, basically just got rejected from all of them. And at the time I was working as a lifeguard, just sort of like waiting to get into uni. So I got rejected from all 5. And then, in my mind, I was just like, oh, right, I'll have to go again next year. That's it. It's done. Like, there's nothing I can really do. So it got to August, and then on clearing, I literally just rang. I made a note of every unit that did physio and just rang every single one, basically just like begging them to let me in, telling them, oh, these are the grades that I've got, basically just let me in. If anyone drops out, then let me know.
Yeah.
So I didn't even apply for York. I literally
just ended up there.
Never even thought about going to uni in York. Didn't even come on my radar. I applied at like Leeds, Manchester, Sheffield, Newcastle. And then, York just rang me. Before this as well, when I got told that I weren't going to get in any of the unis, I spent like 3 months doing some like voluntary work in like a care home.
Right.
Because they told me that I needed to do some voluntary work. So I was working as a lifeguard, finishing off some college work, and then I was doing some voluntary work in a care home, which was horrendous. Like, really, absolutely hated it. Like, what I was going in and doing like seated exercise classes for like all these like 90-year-olds.
Yeah.
That couldn't remember me day to day, week to week.
You just feel like you're wasting your time.
Kind of. I was just kind of doing it as a tick box, but they enjoyed it while I were there. They'd be like falling asleep doing like a shoulder press, and I had to like shout the name to like wake them up. It was just a bit of a bodge job, but it in my mind, I was having to wait another year to get back in. I was going to use that experience to sort of just maybe strengthen my application. So I did like 3 months of that, and then ended up getting a call from York like 4 days before the course started, basically offering me an interview. Did the interview on like the Thursday, and moved to York on Monday, like literally within 4 days. So,
mad turnaround, that, isn't it?
Literally just handed my notice in my job. Figured out I'd done 3 months working in a care home for free for nothing because I didn't even need it in the end.
But it's a life experience, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I've done plenty of similar since. So just moved to York. Literally 4-day turnaround. And I was just buzzing to be going to uni because I'd been considering. I thought I was gonna have to wait another year. So basically, I got lucky last minute through clearing. Otherwise, I would have probably been in the same situation as you. I would have just been waiting. Yeah.
Well, it's worked out well for you, though, hasn't it? It's all worked out pretty well.
It's weird. Literally, just that one call, and things could have been a lot different.
So flash forward a few years from that call, and obviously you've been into your training for quite a while now, and you decide to do a show. Did you know that you were going to do the Body Power Expo show, or was it just diet down and see what shows are around when I'm happy?
Yeah, so what was that? 2017, second year of uni. We had
you were on placement, weren't you, if I remember rightly at that time?
Yeah. So I did the first year I did rugby, sacked that off in the second year just because it was just hammering my training too much. I couldn't really do both. And then we had 3 placements back to back. So it worked out about 15 weeks worth of work placement at uni.
Yeah.
And that is essentially just like being in a full-time job. It's like you just get up, drive to wherever you need to be, go to work. That is a full-time job. So in my mind, I thought if I'm going to do a show, that's probably the best period of time to do it, because we're going to be less social, less going out. It's more just like get your head down and work. So I picked that period of time, which was like January to May. January to May, the body power prep body power was in May, so I did that. And I picked body power just because I'd been going there when I was younger, and I thought it'd be a good atmosphere to do it there, and then at least you've got the rest of the day to look around. And it's not like you go on stage and you do it and then that's it, it's all done. Like I just had a good day when I was walking around and things like that. So I picked it. When would I pick it? I picked it in like September or so, 2016, because I was like, I bulked up in first year when we were playing rugby. I was up to like 96 kilo, and I was a bit of a heifer. Like I was. You
were definitely the stockiest person on the team, but from a musculature point of view, more than anything, to be fair.
Yeah, I was eating a lot, like a lot of food, like burritos. I used to have like 4 burritos a day because it was just like the easiest thing I could do. Each one of them was literally must have been like 800 calories in each one. Yeah. So just stuffed full. Anyway, I was up to like 96 kilo from that first year of rugby. And then in September 16, I thought, right, if I'm going to do a show in May, I need to really start early because I was big. I've got a photo somewhere anyway. I can always send you that over. That was like the prep. I think it was like from 96 to 70, so 26 kilos.
That is a hell of a lot.
Yeah. Started in September, just did like a bit of like a maintenance phase, just not too heavy with like the tracking. It was essentially just like a bit of a clean up before I started prep.
Yeah.
And then January I started my proper sort of like prep for the May one. And yeah.
And how did you find sort of running that alongside essentially working full time as well, and the travel to and from placement?
Rough.
No other way around it, just rough.
Just rough. No, do you know what? At the time, I was proper into it. I was really passionate about it. So it was hard, but I enjoyed it up until like maybe 4 weeks out. I really enjoyed doing it. 4 weeks out, I was just ready to get it done.
Yeah.
No, it was hard, but I think it was a good time to do it because I was already working anyway. It was just in that sort of
like you say, you're so structured and routined already. It's just another thing, really, isn't it?
It was just like I was already structured. It was just something adding on top. And I was working at Emperor's gym at the time as well, so I would do Monday to Friday on placement and then Saturday, Sunday in the gym. So it was pretty much just like
round the clock, non-stop working, isn't it?
Every single day, really, for like 4 months. But I was already in the gym anyway, so it made sense to while I was there. But no, it was good experience, and I was going to do it again. I was hell bent on doing it again, and then
so this was going to be my next question, because obviously you went to Body Power, you competed, you took second in your class and qualified for the British, and at that time had every intention of doing the British. So then what changed? Because obviously that didn't end up being the case, did it?
No. So I basically picked the wrong show. I picked Body Power because in my mind, Body Power, it's big, there'd be loads of people there, it'd be good fun to like go around after.
Which makes sense, to be fair.
Yeah, it's like it was thought it was a big event, it'd be decent. I've enjoyed going when I was younger. That was in May, and the finals weren't until like
they're October-ish, aren't they? October, November.
Yeah, exactly. And the thought of trying to maintain, or I know I could have probably like reversed out a little bit, I could have done all that, but I just didn't fancy it. I was just like, I've had enough, to be honest. Like after that prep, because I'd done September to May already. It was a long time, and if I were going to do the finals, it would be a full year of like restricted eating. So I just sacked it off essentially. But
sorry, carry on.
We me and the people that I live with at uni, we organised to go travelling into Thailand in the summer after that show, and there was no way I was going to go there and restrict what I was doing. So yeah, I just left it at that. But it was just a challenge really to see how I fared against other people my age, and sort of like natural bodybuilding comps, and it was just to see how I would do.
And well, that's the point, isn't it? That's what I was going to say, because you've just done it as a challenge for yourself to see how you sort of feel against other competitors. You've ticked that box essentially. You've qualified for the British. It's not like you've still got something to prove really. So definitely go and enjoy yourself in Thailand.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
So then obviously you came back from Thailand, and then over the next few years transitioned into powerlifting and and have done really, really well in that. So what sort of spurred that change of training? Because it's a big change in sort of training and in it's bigger change in lifestyle than it is in training, really.
Yeah. So I've always done squat, bench, deadlift really since I started training with the guys back in Sheffield that were showing me how to train legs, showing me how to do the big compound lifts. I've always done that. So like in my training, it's always been some sort of squat, bench, deadlift. More squat and bench than deadlift, to be honest. Deadlift was always just the one that I was less interested in doing. I just didn't do it as much until I started powerlifting. So it's always had some place up until maybe 8 weeks out from my bodybuilding comp where I just sort of took them out. But yeah, I've always done it. Transitioned out of the bodybuilding, and my goal was to do another bodybuilding season. It was like, right, I'm gonna do it again. I enjoyed it. It was a good challenge. But obviously, naturally, off season wise, I was thinking like 2 or 3 years off season before I do it again. If I'm going to actually see any difference in my physique, I'll do like 2 or 3 years. So powerlifting was like an interim before the next bodybuilding comp to actually like just build more of a base, just get bigger. So that was the initial plan, to just train for like 2 or 3 years, maybe do another show in 2020 or something like that. And then I started powerlifting, and then just got really into the powerlifting, and then obviously enjoyed not having to diet or anything like that.
It's understandable.
Literally eat as much as you want, lift heavy weights, and the lifestyle was obviously completely different. So I think I just got involved with that and enjoyed the heavy lifting and not having to restrict my food. And then just as I got into that, I just thought, actually, I don't want to feel like that again. I don't know if I want to do a prep and like lose all my strength. It's kind of a trade-off between obviously like physique goals and strength goals, and trying to balance the two.
Yeah.
I'm kind of always floating in between the two, as probably a lot of people are. So yeah, I just ended up getting well into the strength training, and then never did any more bodybuilding.
Yeah, but worth it, because you ended up taking 3rd at the British.
Yeah, that was the
very good going.
Yeah, that was the last comp I did. So that was junior British. So after the junior British, that was November 19. I was again planning to just take a bit of time out, build some strength, things like that, and then COVID hit, and all the rest is history since COVID hit. Really, I think they've only just started doing comps again recently. And I would be in the men's now, so I would be in the seniors. So that's a massive jump up. Like, so I got massive. I got third in juniors, whereas to get 3rd in seniors, it's a massive jump. So So my plan was to take a bit of time out and maybe go back and do seniors when I'd felt like I'd put enough on my total to be competitive. But again, not quite got there yet. So
life's got in the way up to this point. We've got
pretty much life's got in the way, but no excuses.
So what would you say are the biggest differences between that bodybuilding lifestyle and the powerlifting lifestyle?
I would say, probably the food. Like I was training just as hard. The powerlifting training was hard work, like properly hard work. I know people make a joke about like you have like 10-minute rests and like eating donuts in between your sets and stuff like that, but it was hard, like mentally. You're thinking about the numbers all the time. I would have my top sets in my head like on Monday for the whole week, so I knew exactly what in my mind, that one set that I know I needed to hit, or whatever back offs. Whereas like bodybuilding training, I would just go and just train hard, like not really put too much pressure on the numbers. So training was hard. But then on the opposite, the food and the nutrition, not as,
you got much more flexibility, haven't you?
More flexibility. Yeah, obviously it's important, and like anyone who wants to be at the top, you need to prioritize your nutrition. I just didn't do that. Like I probably would have been better if I'd have done that. I probably would have been better if I'd have got a coach. I just sort of winged it all myself because I was interested in like learning how to do it as well. And same for the bodybuilding, just trying to learn how to do it myself essentially. So probably the opposite of what you should do. Try and learn from people who know first and save yourself some time.
I suppose it depends to what end you're wanting to do it though. Like for you, you've said it was just a challenge. So you don't need to take it as seriously as getting a coach and wanting to like optimize every single factor that you could do. And like you said, learning about it, it's half of the fun, and it's half of the process. So yeah, it just depends what you wanted to do it for. So at the time you were powerlifting, when did you started working for Regen when it opened in York, didn't you?
Yeah, I started working part-time in May 2019. So I was in the NHS at that time, and I was just doing like part-time evenings just to build a little bit of experience. And then I went full-time in July.
Yeah.
Just
and how
2.5 years.
How did you find the transition from NHS-based physio to private-based physio?
Yeah, so when I started in the NHS, I basically did like rotations. So I weren't really doing the job I am now in the NHS. I was doing like rotational physiotherapy, which is basically like you rotate between different specialties, different wards, different areas. It's like a junior post for you to gain experience.
Yeah.
So I did like 9 months on orthopedics for my first rotation, which was sound basically. I learned a lot, good team. And I enjoyed it. And I was just waiting to rotate onto what we call like an MSK placement, which is essentially like what I do now privately, like outpatient physio. But you might never rotate. It might take 2 or 3 years before you finally get that rotation. And as luck would have it, I rotated onto a medical ward. So it's pretty much like the one that I wanted the least. So yeah, very different in terms of what you would imagine physio, I guess, but equally as important, just not my interest. So yeah, I was doing that, and I just thought I need to try and move on somewhere where I'm in an area that I want to basically use my skills that I've learned and progress. So got lucky with it really. I was training at Ebor at the time, and then Will Dyson was training there. Me and Will used to train together every now and again. And he mentioned about Ultraflex York. I think Ultraflex York was already coming. Everyone sort of knew about that already. But he was saying, he knew Jason, who was going to open up a clinic there. You should maybe get in touch. Like that might be up your streets in a gym. You like training, physio, all just sort of like ticks those boxes. And also one of my friends from back in Sheffield used to work with Jason at EIS in Sheffield. So I already sort of knew kind of who Jason was from before I even thought about physio. So I thought, right, I'll give him a ring. And Will literally gave me his number, and I just gave him a ring, just said, I'm interested in this job if there's one going. Basically got 0 private experience. What's the chances of me having, like an interview? And at first it was just to do part-time, just to go and work after the NHS, try and build up some sort of like client-based experience. And then they basically said, there's a full-time job going. It's there if you sort of want it. They could obviously tell that I would be a good fit with my background in training, being in a gym. And I had that sort of passion to progress into that area and just sort of offload all the knowledge that I don't need, that I've learned through the NHS, and then specialize in like MSK. And yeah, that's what I did. I ended up just taking a bit of a jump, taking a bit of a jump, and then going full time with Regen.
Yeah, well, it's worked perfectly because, like you said, the environment that you are working in is perfectly suited to you and your interest in your background. Because you've literally, everyone that goes in there, the vast majority are either some form of powerlifter or bodybuilder to some degree. And when it comes to treatment now, you've been there, you've done it all.
Yeah, just athletes in general as well, to be honest. That's the main sort of area. It's athletes in general. It has worked out well. And if someone would have offered me that before I went to uni, I would have snapped their hand off for it. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
worked out. It's worked out well.
And how do you think that your sort of obviously career with physios helped with your, do you think it's helped with your own training? You know, like when you've been doing it for powerlifting and bodybuilding, have you been able to pick up or notice any niggles potentially earlier and sort of treat them earlier than if they'd have carried on and become more of a serious problem?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's always one of them, sort of do as I say and not as I do. There's always times where I'm going to do things that in my mind, I'm literally saying, don't do that. That's stupid. Like, not to, and I'll do it anyway. But it's always that do as I say, not as I do. But no, I've touched wood. I've not had any big injuries, and I do typically, I can tell if something's not feeling right, and I just won't push it. So half the battle, gym-based injuries, is load management. It's literally it's taking a step back, looking at your training, looking at like at your overall sort of like volume, load, how that's changed in different blocks, and managing that accordingly to make sure that you're essentially not just like consistently overreaching and putting your body in a place where it's not recovering. The tissues can't withstand the repetitive load that you're putting on them. So yeah, it has. And probably as well, the while I was at uni learning about all these things, it's having that sort of like, sponging up all the information. Like I would probably say at uni, I would be watching more videos on training and nutrition. I don't think I can call it nutrition, but like how to track my macro, all that sort of stuff. It's not as far as nutrition. I weren't reading into like too much depth, but I was probably watching and reading more on that stuff than I was physio, to be honest. So yeah, just gave me that mindset to want to find out more and learn more. So that's probably another. Yeah, it's helped me in terms of understanding form, technique, what I should be looking at, load management, injury prevention, but also just learning in general. Being better at like learning through doing that at uni. So yeah, it's helped.
So you've been working in Regen for, it'll be over 2 years now, won't it, that York's been open?
Like 2.5 years.
Yeah, minus COVID. What would you say are some of the main sort of misconceptions that you see of people coming into your practice from the gym environment, not excluding people that have come to the clinic who don't train? We're just talking about people that do.
Gym based. So probably a lot of it is people coming in when they're already injured. It's like you're coming in maybe after you're just pushing the weights, you've done like a 12-week block, you're just like, you maybe been consistently overreaching for like 6 weeks. Your body's at a place where it's just got nothing left in reserve. Like you've just been like loading it. There's nothing, there's no recovery left there, and then it gets to the point where it's like, the straw that broke the camel's back, and then they're really feeling it. They'll come in and it's like, right, fix me. And it is really we do have things in the clinic that we can use. Like a lot of it is tendon treatment. A lot of it is tendinopathies that we see, where either acute tendinopathies, where they're really reactive, or just like chronic tendon injuries where people have had an acute tendinopathy, ignored it, carried on training as they do, like typical gym based. Just keep pushing it, and then they've developed like a chronic tendon injury. So with things like that, it's essentially educating people on what the sort of really important things are, and what the maybe less important things are. But in their mind, the less important things are the ones that are going to sort it. Whereas actually, we're trying to get them to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. So just guiding people to sort of realize where has this come from, rather than just looking for that quick fix. We can do things that are certainly going to help people's like pain, make them feel better, give them that window of opportunity to address the things we need to long term. But it's always that we're trying to give someone like a window of opportunity and the know-how to then go and address the underlying cause of all these things, rather than just treating the symptoms. We're always trying to treat the cause.
Exactly.
So
I remember I've had literal experience with you guys, because I know I came to see you before, and I think Adam was there at the time as well, because I'd been having back pain for years and literally was trying to stretch it out, trying to do back exercises, everything just to try and fix it, and nothing were working. And then literally within 5 minutes of seeing you, you were just like, yeah, your core's fucked. Like, we need to work on your core because there's nothing there. And literally since changing that up completely and doing it, I don't like I've had next to no niggles with my back whatsoever. And it is just that underlying cause into that underlying issue.
Yeah, and it's like with back pain as well, it's just there's so much into it as well. Like what works for someone's probably not going to work for someone else. There's so many different areas of back pain, which I'll not delve too deeply into. For everyone, but it's complicated. There's a lot that goes into it. We're looking at everything. We're looking at sort of biology. We're looking at people, how people move, how people train, what's the load like, do they sort of like have available range to sort of do certain movements? Is that the best movement for them? And then we've got like the psychology as well, like how people perceive their back. Like for people that have had a lot of pain for a long time, the way that they perceive their back is different to someone who's not had back pain. And actually the way that we perceive how strong our back is can actually become like a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you feel like you've got a really bad back, you don't use it as much, you don't load it as much, you're fearful of movement. And actually that then becomes a bit of a, like I say, a self-fulfilling prophecy with some people, where they guard it to the point that when they do need to use it, the resilience is not there. They've not built it enough. So it's treating a bit of everything. For some people, it is literally as simple as, right, let's have a look. Are you bracing well? Have you got that Valsalva when you're lifting? And that could be it. Some people is a bit more underlying. So number one thing for us, Regen in general, is we're trying to find what's contributing to it. We still do all the treatment. We still give you that sort of window of opportunity to go in the gym, feel better, and load it up. Like we use the shockwave therapy, which is really good for sort of promoting tendon healing. Again, it gives you a window of opportunity to then go and do the loading and do the things that we know are going to help longer term. So we do the short term things, but it's really important to set people up for the long term as well, rather than just doing those, just the passive treatments. Which, if you're not injured, if you're just carrying a little bit of fatigue, you've not got any specific sort of like a specific pathology, a specific injury, that's fine. Like we do a lot of maintenance treatment for people that are just generally beaten up from training, like in general, they're just feeling fatigued. That's okay. It's trying to find which one you probably need based on how you're feeling.
So like we were saying before we started recording, because you've got this background, this such detailed background in training, you're able to actually take a step back, like you said, and look at the bigger picture as well, and be like, okay, what's going on with your training? What's new? What have you any new movements you've implemented? Are you overtraining? And like you said, as them, because then if they're not recovering properly, if you can't recover, you can't grow. You're never going to be functioning properly.
Yeah, and just like you can't out exercise a really bad diet. You can't out rehab or out treat something that you just keep doing. That's just going to keep causing something. So it's always, you can chase the symptoms and treat the symptoms all you want. You have to try and get down to the cause. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes there isn't. There is no. Oh, it's this. There's just one thing. It's probably like a multitude of things that are contributing to pain and things like that. But it's delving into that, which is important.
100%. So before I let you go, mate, where can people find you if they want to get hold of you or get in touch?
Yeah, so the best way is in terms of booking in for physio, for assessments, things like that. We have physios all over the north with Regen, and we're all very similar in terms of background. That's literally just www.regenphysio.co.uk, or just follow @RegenPhysio on Instagram. And then for my personal Instagram, if you want to drop me a message, it's @Taylor_Curt with a C. So feel free to drop me a message on there.
Wicked, mate. And finally, I ask this of everyone, just before we finish, what is the one piece of advice you would give to someone right now who is, let's say, from a rehab point of view, struggling with an injury and doesn't quite know what to do?
Yeah. Get it looked at, get it assessed. Literally just get it assessed. If you've seen someone and you're still on with it, it's not changing. Depending on what it is, these things can take time. So you do have to trust the process, but just get it assessed, get a plan, see someone who knows what they're doing, and get a plan with it. That is my biggest advice, because there's so many things that could be going on that really the first step is just getting a thorough assessment and a plan.
Awesome. Curt, thank you so much, mate. Thank you for your time and sharing your thoughts with us, and have a great Christmas.
Hey, you too, mate. Enjoy.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, mate.